You know, I find it a little ironic that they had all these no kings protests. Actually, that's what God wanted thousands of years ago. He wanted to be the king. It's called a theocracy. But Israel, the Hebrews, they wanted a human king. They wanted a monarchy. So to really have a king, that's what it is. It's called a monarchy. Anyway, I'm out here at the park. You're probably going to hear kids playing and everything on it. But I'm doing a study of the kings of both Israel and Judah. Okay, as you know, their first king was Saul. Saul was a donkey of a man. he was a big man, and he was what all the people then thought would be a really good leader. And then God had to tell him, no, I look at a person's heart, not their stature. And he found the man after his heart, which was David. And as you know the story, Saul eventually was killed. He did all kind of evil in God's sight, including consulting with a spiritualist medium, which a lot of people do today in astrology and horoscopes and all that. They shouldn't do that. God warns real careful not to be involved in sorcery or witchcraft or all that sort of demonic activity. And then following Saul came David. And David did pretty good until he got his eyes on Bathsheba. And then from there, he did okay for a while, but his kingdom was never the same anymore, you know. And then eventually came Solomon, who was a child of Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah, who David had killed. And Solomon did good for a while too. And then after him, now we got a big split. You got Judah and you got Israel. You got the nation of Israel, or they're divided in two. So you're going to have kings on both lines, Judah and Israel. The northern was Israel, and the southern was Judah. Okay. Well, around the third generation after Solomon comes along a king by the name of Ahab. What do you know about Ahab? Ahab, he had his eyes on a beautiful woman who liked to put a lot of makeup on and draw attraction. She was very much a seductive. And God didn't want him to be with her, but you know, he had his eyes on her and he wanted her, so he got her. Guess what her name was? Jezebel. She was a Baal worshiper. And that was one of the problems that Israel was having, is they kept going into idolatry. So I'm studying the life of Ahab. Guess who comes along the scene? Elijah. Elijah's a fascinating man because he's one of only two men that never experienced death. Okay? The other was Enoch, and then there was Elijah. Enoch, as you remember, he lived in a really bad time. This is before the flood. But he was pleasing to God, and he walked with God. So God decided, hey, Enoch, you don't need to live in this evil world anymore. I'm not even going to let you experience death. I'm just going to take you home. And took him out just like that. That'd be like me sitting here right now and say, God, am I pleasing to you? Are you pleasing God? Take me right now. Don't let me experience death. You know? Well, that may happen with the rapture. Okay, so he was taken. Then later on, Elijah was taken. And the story of how he was taken in the fire, the chariots of fire, they took him out, and he was walking with his successor, Elisha. It's fascinating. But what's fascinating before that is his life, faith, and the things that God had to put him through, to the point where he got really depressed, and he said, Lord, take me. He wasn't talking about that time about being taken out. He was talking about, God, kill me, because I'm the only prophet that's left. He was feeling sorry for himself. He was depressed. He was discouraged. Listen, if you get depressed or discouraged, you're in good company. Everybody does, especially people in ministry. Because, you know, if you're really living for Christ, you're going to make a lot of enemies, okay? And people are going to be against you. Family members, friends, associates, co-workers, and all that. So Elisha's really depressed. And God tells Elisha, I want you to go to King Ahab, because he's involved with this woman, and they are doing this Baal worship, or Baal worship, however you want to call it. Then I'm going to bring drought on the land for 3 years. And of course, King Ahab didn't like that. So Elijah didn't win a lot of favors with King Ahab, let alone Jezebel. And God tells Elijah, I want you to go hide out by this brook. Go east of where you're going, go by a brook. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. While you're there hiding out, you can drink water from the brook, but I'm going to have ravens feed you. They're going to bring you meat and bread morning and evening. Now, I read that and I says, you know, what's the difference between a raven and a crow? And so I started seeing, I saw a bunch of crows out here and ravens, and I went and I started studying them. Very fascinating reason as to why God had Elijah fed by a raven instead of a crow. What kind of bird was it that flew out from Noah's Ark? Okay, think about that a minute. And some of the other birds that God has used throughout the Old Testament and New Testament. So you think about that. So anyway, what happened was they had a conflict there. And so in that conflict with Ahab, and there's drought for 3 years, during that time, this raven is feeding Elisha until a change happened. And then God told Elisha, I want you to go to this place, and this widow woman is going to feed you and take care of you. That's where I'm going to stop right now, because I want to continue that. What happened with Elisha, with this woman, is absolutely fascinating. God performed most amazing miracles in Elijah's life, and he does it in my life. He wants to do it in your life if you'll let him. Okay? Let God have his way with you. When you do that, like Elijah, you're going to be pleasing to him, and he's going to, there's no telling. I mean, think about it a minute. I sat here in the park the other day, and I was just sitting there watching crows. You know, if you study them, those are, crows and ravens are pretty smart. Okay, they can even build tools and everything. And I think they're smarter than Democrats. The Democrats are stupid. Even a Muslim said it the other day. He says, you know why? Do you really want to know why Muslims vote for Democrats? Because they know that they have no morality. They're stupid, and they're going to usher in, they're very naive and gullible. They're going to usher in things that we are going to change anyway. So that's why they vote like that. But the ravens and crows are very smart, you know. And I hate to make that, you know, comparison, you know, poor ravens and crows to Democrats. But Democrats really are stupid, okay? They're not like they used to be. When I was younger, I was Democrat, okay? Back when Kennedy was voted in as president. But then it's changed radically after Johnson became president. Okay. That's it, because I want to talk more about what happened with Elijah and this widow woman and the miracles that he performed while he was in home. And then I'm going to tell you what ended up happening to Ahab and Jezebel. He meets Jezebel when she's got all this makeup on, very seductive. Jezebel dies with makeup on, thinking she's going to be seductive, but instead something really bad happened. Okay, God bless you. Let God have his way in your life. Miracles are going to happen. Bye.